Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morning Brew, live on Brew Sports, a Thursday edition of the program. It is a day to talk about sports. It's a day to try not to fall down the stairs, and it's a day to go to the garage sale. That's the kind of day we're having here on Morning Brew. I'm Baxter Colburn. That's Jaymee Evers. Good morning, Jaymee. How are you today?
Good morning. I am excellent.
Excellent? Well, That's good. You look nice today. I mean,
Thanks.
got a little shawl business there. What's going on here today?
I don't know.
No?
Warm and comfortable.
Warm and
so
comfortable. That's kind of
my
how I
closet.
addressed my day as well. I'm like, this is just, yes, I want to be cozy.
Yeah, I was getting dressed this morning, and I'm like, just the rain stinks.
It does.
My apartment's dark. I don't want to, wear anything that's not bulky and comfortable.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me, honestly. I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to wear anything that's bulky and dark and nasty.
Yeah, I just bundle up.
It's like, just want to be cozy.
Yeah.
Just want to be cozy.
Usually I switch my summer and winter's spring clothes out, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Anytime soon, unfortunately. Unfortunately not. Well, we've got a good show in store for you today, folks. A lot of fun stuff to get to in just a little while. We're going to be joined by Caleb Wahlgren in our second segment to help break down the NFL, some of the great news that's taken place there, of course, in regards to Adrian Peterson as a free agency. You've got Marshawn Lynch visiting the Raiders yesterday. And, of course, there's always other drama floating around in the NFL. But we'll get to all that in a little while. But first and foremost, it is time to get to the first part of the show, Jaymee. What's brewing? What is brewing in the sports world? There's so much brewing. So much. Lots of brews everywhere. Listen to all the brewingness that's taking place.
I think the first thing we could talk about is probably Eddie Lacy's garage sale.
Eddie Lacy's garage sale. So I actually had the opportunity to go to a garage sale of a former NFL player when I was a kid back in Green Bay, former Packer Bill Schrader back in the day, for those of you that know who Bill Schrader is. And it was actually very interesting. I mean, he lived around the block from where I lived in Green Bay, and he had a big box of his old wide receiver gloves. He had a garage full of Star Wars action figures and just other random stuff because his family was just having a garage sale. But Eddie Lacy, for those that don't know, is now living in Seattle, going to play for the Seahawks after leaving the Packers in free agency, and he's going to have a garage sale tomorrow and Saturday up in De Pere, Wisconsin. So if you're in the neighborhood, go and check it out, I guess. Why not? But it begs the question, though, Jaymee, what in the world are you going to find at a garage sale for Eddie Lacy? I feel like...
Yeah, he doesn't have a family.
He does. He's not married. Yeah,
or...
you're not getting the bargain bin and some of those sweet, slightly used Fisher-Price toys or anything.
Right.
What do you think you're going to find at Eddie Lacy's garage sale?
I would assume it would probably just be a lot more crap he doesn't want to haul. Pictures that might have been on his wall, or a couch that he doesn't care about, or things like that. I don't think it'll be... Probably won't be much clothes, because that's easy to move.
Right.
And you can use clothes right away, or once he gets it there, he can hang it up and it's out of the way.
Right, done. Okay.
Once he has to hang pictures or move a couch or whatever,
doesn't seem
no one wants to move a couch.
It doesn't seem like he's much of a hanger, though. I just picture for some reason Eddie just has all his clothes on his floor. He just seems like that kind of guy, kind of thing. He walks into his room, he's like, yeah, okay, put this, good. I'd be like, yeah, this is good. I'll put this back on. I don't know. That's just the perception I get from Eddie Lacy, and everything that I've heard. Sure, he's a nice guy and whatever, but he comes off with this weird vibe. He's like a big kid. So I mean, I just assume that he might maybe get some discounted gaming systems because he is a self-proclaimed gamer, loves the Xbox and PlayStation and all those games. So he might have some old game consoles there, but. I mean, you think about the obvious things, though, like the workout equipment, the weight loss programs. You think any of those are still just hanging around? He did P90X, I think, for a while, too. You think that is probably hanging around somewhere, the little, tape measure to measure his waist is probably hanging around.
Yeah, but I'll have to bring those with him because now he has stricter requirements. Weight that he has to actually obtain. No, and maybe heavier weight things,
You think he's got larger plus size clothes or big and tall gift certificates hanging around or something?
Maybe. I also picture him to have some janky bar in his basement where he's gonna have old liquor signs that he's gonna want to get rid of.
Probably half drank liquor. That's drunken.
That he'll sign and sell.
I never know how to say that word. Drunk, half drank liquor.
Half drunk.
Drunken.
I don't know.
Drinking it? I don't know.
A half-drank bottle? That sounds weird.
How do you say that? Help us out, Facebook. We don't know how to say that. We do encourage you guys to comment down below, of course, with anything we got going on. What do you think's at Eddie Lacy's garage sale? Dan says probably empty booze bottles. Yeah, he's on the same track as you are there, Jaymee.
Just old crap.
I want to think what else he might possibly have. Maybe some Alabama stuff because he played there at Alabama, won a national title. I mean, maybe there'll be some flags or some old jerseys or shirts or something, but I don't really know what else you're going to have if you're an Eddie Lacy guy. I mean, you didn't win a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Maybe like the old Packers playbook if you wanted to stick it to the Packers.
Does he have is it just like a condo that he rented or
that I don't
something
know.
that he owned? Because I think that would make a huge difference. If it's something that he owned, like it's probably very well furnished. Or
Sure.
if it's just, an off-season or a during-the-season condo, it's probably not put a lot of money
he's been in
into it.
Green Bay for, 3 years, I think? So, I mean, at that point, you have to feel like you have to get somewhat committed to an establishment.
I don't know. They always say, like, a lot of, like, NHL players don't buy houses because it's a curse. The
Right.
second you buy a house in Nashville, the second you get
traded to Phoenix or something.
Yeah.
You're like, where in the world? Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, very rarely. I mean, guys like Aaron Rodgers have a house. Like certain sports, it's like, okay, you're going to be here a while.
He's not going anywhere.
But a guy like Eddie Lacy, who was still trying to find his way, though, that makes a lot more sense, though, that he would maybe just have had like a really nice condo or just a fancier apartment. But it's De Pere, Wisconsin. How fancy can you be in De Pere? I know there's some nice houses out there because I used to live in the general vicinity, but I don't know what the apartment game is like up in that De Pere area.
I'm not sure either.
Let us know your thoughts on Facebook here, what you think Eddie Lacy might be selling at his garage sale Friday and Saturday. Do you think he's going to be there?
Ooh.
I don't know if he's going
Maybe
to
he'll make like an appearance.
I have yet to see if he's going to be making an appearance or not. But if you're having a garage sale at your house, you might want to like pop out and be like, hey, guys.
I think it's kind of weird,
Thanks.
too, because like if he did come out, like everyone would just stay. Or everyone's going to stay in hopes that he does come out.
Right. And apparently all the proceeds from the rummage sale will go to a charity.
Oh, nice.
100% of the proceeds, and everything that doesn't get purchased will go to the Freedom House in De Pere, Wisconsin.
Nice.
So it's not like he's just trying to take the money and run. He just signed a $5.5 million contract. So he's not exactly hurting for cash, but at the same time, it's good to see that he's not being greedy with the money that he would be making and being like, good, now I can buy more snack wraps at Taco Bell or something. Like,
Yeah,
that's
probably,
what he's hoping for.
Yeah.
That would be weird if he did, but you never know.
Right, and he probably just doesn't care that he's going to make $150 off of his garage sale or whatever it may be. But
I think it'll probably be more than that. I don't think he would have that much. Do you think it would be that little of profits?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I would be surprised by that as well too, honestly. But you never really know, honestly, with what these NFL guys got stuffed away in their garages. Like I said, the thing that I went to back in the day, Bill Schrader, he had just a garage full of Star Wars action figures. It's kind of cool, but kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, these aren't for sale. He's like, everything else, he's like, this is my private collection. I'm like, okay, Bill.
Interesting.
You do you, man. It's kind of funny. One other quick thing here before we get to Caleb Wahlgren is, what was I going to talk about? Dustin Johnson. For those of you that are the big basketball fans, Dustin Johnson is was supposedly going to be the big man on the Masters this year. However, he decided to fall down some stairs last night. Whether or not he actually meant to do that, of course, is yet to be determined. But he fell down a flight of stairs last night and severely injured his back and other parts of his body as well. For those that have ever played golf, you know that you need your back, of course. It's kind of important for the swinging and the general strain that goes on it. But he landed on his lower back and on both of his elbows after he fell down and slipped down 3 wooden steps while he was going into a garage to move his car.
So now I would assume if he hurt his elbows and his back, he just fell straight on his back, right? He probably didn't break it. Like, it's probably just irritated. I think it might mess up his game a bit, but take a bunch of
I don't know.
ibuprofen and move on.
Well, that's the thing, though.
He's not like an old man. Like, his bones are brittle.
Well, the quote that came out, he said he landed very hard on his lower back and now is resting, although quite uncomfortably. He has been advised to remain immobile and begin a
regiment.
Regiment. I've never seen it spelled out. Regiment of anti-inflammatory medicine and icing. With the hope he'll be able to play tomorrow.
Oh, he'll be fine.
You ever fallen down the stairs? It's painful.
Yeah, but he didn't break a leg.
But still, his back and his elbows. Like, I hate like scraping up my elbows or like having sore elbows.
Fine.
I'm gonna push you down the stairs after the show and see how you feel.
No, those stairs are hard and metal.
Well, yeah, these are hard wooden steps.
Wooden. He's fine.
Okay. Okay. We'll have to see. But for those that are big baseball bettors, people were starting to reconsider their picks. A lot of folks trying to say, well, I mean, if Dustin Johnson's going to be hurt, I mean, I don't want to, bet hundreds of dollars on him now just in the chance that he will be a shell of himself. That could really end up costing a lot of people a lot of money if Dustin Johnson ends up not winning.
I just think I don't, like they're saying, if he's unable to play, like, he could probably suck it up.
He's going to play, but it's not the peak form Dustin Johnson.
Well, he should have been more careful.
You and I are clumsy people too, Jamie. And I mean, I can barely walk through the studio without kicking a light or tripping over a cord.
You got massive feet.
You're also tall, though, as well, and you run into stuff.
I'm not that uncoordinated for how tall I am.
We are both the same height.
Yeah.
So.
But most women aren't my size. So I feel like that would make me prone to be more clumsy.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Makes sense. All right, moving on. Let's get to Caleb Wahlgren here on the Morning Brew. Caleb is one of our NFL correspondents that likes to join us from time to time on the program. Caleb, we wish you a very good Thursday morning to us. The big hot question, Caleb, is what do you think is at Eddie Lacy's garage sale? That is the burning question this morning. Oop, we lost him for a second. Caleb, are you still there? I don't know. We'll have to wait for Caleb to come back. We lost him for a second. Oh, maybe, possibly. Caleb, are you there?
I'm here.
There we go.
Just some technical issues with my phone this morning.
No worries. We got you. So, Caleb, the big burning question, I don't know if you heard it, is what do you think is at Eddie Lacy's garage sale?
I think if you like having some really big number 27 Eddie Lacy jerseys, that he's probably not taking those to Seattle with him. So
that is a good point.
Yeah, if you need one that's a little bit bigger, you might be able to get a better deal on one than you would have.
It's kind of like when you find like the clearance rack at Kohl's or something. I mean, that was always the thing I remember doing after Greg Jennings went to the Vikings. There was like $100 Greg Jennings jerseys on sale for like $10. Like, it was ridiculous. So I'm sure all of a sudden these Eddie Lacy jerseys are probably going to be sold for even less than what he might be selling them at his garage sale. But we, of course, didn't come here to talk to you, Caleb, about what's at Eddie Lacy's garage sale, as much as that would be a fun thing to play the speculation game. But the big news, of course, yesterday is that Marshawn Lynch was visiting the Oakland Raiders. And no official deal has been at least reported. However, Marshawn Lynch has come out to say that he will be unretiring, which, A plus B equals Oakland, apparently. How do you feel about the Lynch move to unretire / what does this do for the Raiders now moving forward?
Well, obviously the Raiders lost Latavius Murray to the Vikings during free agency. So they were in need of getting someone to come in. And when you're looking at the free agent running back market, there's not a whole lot to pick and choose from depending on what you're looking for. Lynch is from the Bay Area. He went to Cal. I think that he wanted to come back and play. Everyone knows that he doesn't like certain aspects of the NFL. Because they're a hometown team and their last few years in Oakland are going to be good to him, he'll be happy to be there.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing that I've gathered from this as well, too. I mean, why come back out of the NFL unless you had the chance to play for your hometown? I mean, he grew up in Oakland, California. That makes total sense that he would want to go back. Of course, the team is moving now in 2 years to Las Vegas, so maybe that's all Marshawn decides to give to the club, too, is like, hey, guys, I'll sign a 2-year deal, and then once you move to Vegas, maybe then I'll retire or something. But I guess I just don't understand how successful this team thinks they're going to be with a guy that hasn't touched the football in 2 years. I've been a negative component of this since I heard about the rumors, and I really continue to strongly believe that Marshawn Lynch is not going to be the savior that the Raiders think he's going to be. They need at least another 1 or 2 running backs now in Oakland to help kind of complement what Marshawn Lynch is doing. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think that anytime you have a running back system or running back tandems, that's always going to be your best course of action. Look at the teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. You had the Falcons with Devonta Freeman. I can't remember his name right now. Tevin Coleman,
yep.
The kid from Indiana. And then you had the Patriots who had James White, Dion Lewis, and LeGarrette Blount. Whenever you are wanting to run the ball, you need to be able to have multiple backs to throw back there. But the thing with me for Oakland is I think they probably only need one other good back that they can maybe get in the draft, because you're you're not going to run the ball that much. You've got Derek Carr. You've got Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree out on the outside. Pass the ball a lot. It's not going to be like Marshawn was in Seattle, where it was feed him the ball 30 to 40 times a game, and Wilson will throw when we need him to.
Do you think that he's coming back out of retirement because, not only because he's playing for Oakland, but because the last 2 years he hasn't really done much but make a Skittles commercial where, he's not going to be Tony Romo retires and he's now on CBS. Like, no one wants Marshawn Lynch to speak in public. Like, do you think that's why, like, he isn't doing much more? He's not, this might sound mean, but, like, not good for anything besides football, so he's going back to what he knows?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well played.
It's one of those things where Marshawn Lynch was never a media darling in the first place, so it's not a surprise that he hasn't done anything with broadcasting or too many commercials. I remember Marshawn Lynch eating Skittles on the sideline. Everyone remembers that. He might as well be a spokesperson for something that he loves. It's one of those things where you look at Marshawn Lynch and you go, do any of us really know what this guy wants to do? I remember when he was at Cal, one time he scored a touchdown and he jumped on like the medic truck and drove it around the end zone. Now, he's kind of a bit out there sometimes.
Sometimes?
So maybe he's like, you know what? I really do miss this football thing. Part of me was wondering if he was going to, do what Favre did and, you know what? I think I'm going to come to the Raiders, but I'm going to wait to unretire until after training camp because I don't really feel like working out with the team. I just want to get back so I can play some games and have fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, honestly. I mean, I don't know what kind of state Marshawn Lynch is in, and I mean, I've battled this out with Tanner on halftime before too, and he's been like, no, Marshawn Lynch is exactly what the Raiders need, and I think he's an absolute fool, but he's also a Bills fan, so you can take that for what you want. But at the same time, like, I really just, Marshawn Lynch is, like you said, he's coming to have fun. He's not coming to win a Super Bowl. He's not coming because he is just so in love with what the Raiders organization is. Yes, they're the hometown team, but it's not going to be anything else than that. This isn't Marshawn trying to, ask for the ball on, first and goal at the one and, them passing on him. Like, he doesn't have this, like, built-up, like, redemption factor in the side of him. He just wants to play the game again because he's just kind of a big kid. He just like, I just want to go run the ball and eat Skittles while I do it. I mean, that's really all it's going to come down to. One of the other guys that's now affected by this Marshawn Lynch thing is Adrian Peterson. Oakland was a possible landing spot for him, especially since Latavius Murray came into Minnesota and took away Adrian Peterson's starting job there now. Where do we see Adrian Peterson landing now? And if he does land with a team, is it going to be before or after the NFL draft?
There's so many question marks with Adrian Peterson right now. I know that the Packers fan base is going to continue to have things circle around him or not because it seems like half the fan base really wants him and half of them really doesn't want him. I really didn't see him going to the Patriots because Robert Kraft was one of the people who spoke out against him after he had those issues with his child. I think it was back in the 2013 season.
Yep.
So it doesn't make sense for him to then turn around and be like, and we're going to bring you on as our running back. Plus, they'd already signed another running back in free agency after LeGarrette Blount left. So I don't feel like that door is open. The only other team he's really visited with have been the Seahawks and Raiders. Well, Seattle signed Eddie Lacy instead, and the Raiders are trying to get Marshawn Lynch. So we have a whole lot of unanswered questions when it comes to the Adrian Peterson story and where it goes from here. Personally, I think that Green Bay could be a fit because he could be a first and second down back, and you could see Ty Montgomery on third down. Positionally, it works. I just don't know if positionally is going to be enough in that location, and I don't really know where else he's going to go.
One other guy that I want to talk about that's kind of rustled in the news the last couple of days or 2 days is Richard Sherman. The Seahawks are talking about possibly trading him. They don't seem to be saying that they're not going to, and he doesn't seem to be upset about it. He said that he likes it. He likes it makes him want to try harder, and it adds fuel to his fire. Where do you think that you see him going this upcoming season?
Well, we still have a lot of dominoes in play at quarterback or at cornerback this coming season. Still trying to get Malcolm Butler from the Patriots because they need to redo that whole defense. The Saints defense was so porous the last few years. So if the Saints don't get Malcolm Butler, they might go after Richard Sherman. And it was saying, I read a report recently that if the Saints do get Malcolm Butler from the Patriots, that the Patriots might go after Richard Sherman. Obviously, Bill Belichick is never shy to go after someone who talks quite a bit, and Richard Sherman fits that distinction.
He does, yeah. You have guys like Randy Moss and Chad Ochocinco that spend time there in New England, and you talk about outspoken players in all of NFL history. Those are two of the big names for sure.
And as far as Richard Sherman saying that he doesn't have any problems with it, I wouldn't expect him to. Richard Sherman doesn't seem like he has much problems about much of anything unless it's Michael Crabtree. With where he'll end up going, I would tend to lean towards those two potential landing spots depending on what happens with Malcolm Butler, because the Patriots are going to need a corner if Butler leaves, and the Saints are still trying to get a corner. So it might be one of those things where if the Saints can get Sherman for cheaper than they can get Butler, he might be playing down in the Big Easy.
See, for me, this is the big thing for me in all of this, Caleb, is that Richard Sherman is a guy that has already won a Super Bowl and he's already been to another one and lost, unfortunately. If he has his choice, he's not going to want to go to New Orleans. New Orleans isn't stocking up to make a deep playoff run. You know, that's just not what the Saints are right now. They're the shell of what they were when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But if I'm Richard Sherman, if I'm going to be traded, I'd like to talk to my agent and say, listen, if I really only want to go to a team that's going to compete. But, of course, if you're Seattle, you don't want to have to put up with Richard Sherman in the NFC. So maybe you trade him to an AFC team like the Patriots or a team like the Steelers who still needs a lot of help on defense. Or everybody's on the Texans bandwagon, too, saying, oh, they're just a quarterback or this away from winning the Super Bowl. They're not. But still, I mean, Richard Sherman would fit nicely there with what the Texans have going. But if you have at least a little bit of say, if you are Richard Sherman, do you want to try to stay in the NFC, or would you rather go to the AFC so you don't have to deal with Seattle?
I think if you're Richard Sherman, the best place for you is going to be in Seattle. He's a good fit in that system, and we've seen elite cornerbacks leave teams and pretty much go silent. Does anyone remember what Darrelle Revis did in the season he was with Tampa Bay?
Not much.
No. Does anyone... I mean, when you think of elite cornerbacks, they're usually good with the team and the system they're in. Richard Sherman's best bet is to stay in Seattle because that's where he's most likely to have the most success. I mean, they've been to NFC championships. They still have a good chance of playoffs as a wild card or winning the division depending on how they match up with Arizona this year. I don't think a trade is his best idea. Now, you mentioned the Steelers. The Steelers have been horrible on defense the last few years.
Oh, they know, especially come AFC Championship time.
To end up if he is going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, too, in all of this. When I really think about it, and I was just trying to think a little bit more, too, while you were talking about other possibilities, and I really feel like Richard Sherman is a product, as you mentioned, of the system. He's also a great cornerback because he's got guys like Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor behind him playing, even more backup defense because most teams are terrified to pass deep on the Seahawks because they've got three of the hardest, most athletic, defensive backs in the league. So I think if you suddenly put Richard Sherman on an island, down at wherever, God forbid, Cleveland, I think he's going to be exploited a whole lot more than he would have been while he was at Seattle because he had those all-pro, safeties behind him, keeping him safe as, things were going back and forth, from passes going down the sidelines.
I absolutely agree. I think Earl Thomas is the key to that secondary. He was one of the highest drafted players in that secondary. When he was hurt last year, the Seattle defense did not look nearly as good as they have come to be known as in their recent Legion of Boom era.
Yeah, the Seattle defense, I think, is just a shell of what it used to be, honestly, and we saw that in this playoff game when they just got boat raced by the Falcons. So there's a lot of question marks still floating out there. If you on Facebook have an idea of where you think Richard Sherman should go or might go and what you think he's actually worth, we'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure to comment below and hit that share button as well. Caleb, we got to let you run, but we appreciate you swinging by here on The Morning Brew. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at KDIG74. Draft is 3 weeks from today, so it'll be an exciting time. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys soon.
Looking forward to it, Caleb. Always a pleasure, sir. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
All right, thanks so much. There goes Caleb Wahlgren here on The Morning Brew. Good to hear his insight this morning. Yeah, that was the big thing for me as he was sitting there talking about Richard Sherman. And props to you, by the way, for bringing up Richard Sherman. I totally spaced on that in my notes this morning. So way to go. Team win this morning on The Morning Brew. Bam! Jamie's getting better and better every day, folks. This is why she's an all-star. First ballot. Sign her up.
Or I got 8 hours of sleep last night.
Let's take a look. Yeah, you look like you got 8 hours last night.
Hey,
Woo!
just kidding.
Girl. Let's see. What do I? Not me. My hair's getting long. If I can start doing the Justin Bieber like side flippy thing, like I can't like flip.
It doesn't move though.
It doesn't move, but like it started to like if I can like naturally go this way with my hair. It's getting long. I have to get a haircut like every month or every month and a half. Am I high maintenance?
No, I think that's pretty typical for guys.
For guys, yeah. For girls, it's like I haven't gotten a haircut in 3 years. It's like no wonder your hair is all ratty and you looking nasty. No, I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's nice ladies out there that have hair that goes longer than that.
Oh, God.
Be that as it may, though. But yes, Richard Sherman, very much a product of the system in Seattle. That's why they've been so successful. And when you put 3 of the best defensive players in the league all on the same team, you're going to have success, and you're probably going to get blown up a little bit more. This is no offense to Jordy Nelson, but I really have a hard time believing Jordy Nelson is as good of a wide receiver as he is.
If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers.
Correct. 100% believe that. Absolutely. Because look at the guys that Tom Brady has thrown the ball to the last couple of years. Tom Brady and the Patriots have really never had a true elite wide receiver, but because you've got arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, that's why guys like Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, who was atrocious with the Bills, are suddenly becoming these high-caliber wide receivers because they actually have a guy that can throw them the ball. Or maybe these guys had the skill set the entire time but just never got the chance to show it because they had, Terrell Pryor or Johnny Manziel throwing them the football.
Right. I'm just not going to say anything bad about my boyfriend, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
Your boy Jordy? Mm-hmm. You can say something if you want to.
No. I mean...
I'm surprised you didn't jump on me more for throwing a little shade there at Jay Nell this morning.
It's hard to tell because we've only ever seen him be successful with Rodgers.
Of course.
So I'll just pretend he's amazing.
We'll just pretend he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Jeff says good morning on Facebook. Good morning to you, Jeff. Good to see you. My coffee is still very warm, but that's a good thing, Jeff, so you can't insult me for having a warm beer because I have warm coffee, and I'd be mad if it was cold coffee. So here's to you, Jeff. Now that that's out of the way. All right, moving right along. I love breakfast. Actually, that's a lie. I hate breakfast because I never have breakfast because, number one, I sleep. Given the choice between food and sleep, I always choose sleep.
Yeah.
But number two, my stomach is weird where I can't have really anything food-wise until like 10 or 11 a.m. So I'm more of a brunch guy.
Okay.
Now, the reason I bring up breakfast is many of you are sitting at home going, where are you going with this? Wait for it. I'm getting there. One of the things that we do on halftime is we like to play games. That's why Tanner and I have so much fun. It's because we laugh, we joke. It's great. Wonderful. Best time ever. The big thing about this, though, is for breakfast, I like asking people, though, who their breakfast crew is. Because how many times do you see on Instagram or Snapchat or people like, at breakfast with the crew, and there's like 4 people there kind of thing. Like, okay, you're there with your best friends. Like, that's kind of a cool bit. But who is in your sports celebrity breakfast crew? You're headed out to the local IHOP or Pancake House, or personally, I'm going to First Watch because I love First Watch.
I don't even know what that is.
What?
First Watch?
First Watch.
Is it like obviously it's a breakfast place.
It's a breakfast place.
Like a chain?
Here in Brookfield. We've got them in Florida. Has anybody else been to First Watch? Please comment below if you've been to First Watch. Bomb orange juice and amazing food. First Watch is the most amazing thing in the world.
Orange juice is you get good orange juice, Baxter's there.
Fresh squeezed orange juice I will do many, many things for.
Even with like the pulp on the top?
Kind of like when people say, what would you do for a Klondike bar? What would you do for a fresh glass squeezed orange juice? Baxter would do a lot of things for that. Love orange juice. I also am a product of Florida. That's why. Hannah is immediately jumping on. He said, Eddie Lacy would eat too much. He's uninvited. Okay, fair enough, Hannah. So Eddie Lacy's not making it, but I feel like we need to go back and forth here. So you pick somebody, I'll pick somebody. We'll each choose 3 people to complete the breakfast posse.
Okay, you go first.
I'll go first. So, I mean, if we're going to breakfast, you need someone that's going to document what's going on very well. You need someone that's the social media game is on point.
Ooh, we're gonna go completely different ways.
I'm pretty bad, honestly, when it comes to social media. Even though I'm a part of a social media network, it's nothing against me. I like to not live on my phone.
Okay,
that's just me. So I need someone that's going to come with me and my crew. That's going to be snapping, posting, all that fun business. Somebody that's always on social media is Conor McGregor. So
I knew you were going to pick
Conor
him.
McGregor's coming to breakfast with me.
Maybe
we'll go to Moe's. We'll have an Irish breakfast with Conor McGregor.
I knew you were going to pick him.
So Conor's coming with me. Jeff says he's never been to First Watch.
Benny. Sorry, I got excited because that's who I was going to pick.
Okay, so tell me, who is this?
Okay, so you're thinking like logistics, right? Like you want people to see. I'm just going to go with like hot men across the table from me. So like Roman Yossi, you're my number 1, of course. Benny beat me to the punch. I love Roman
Benny
Yossi.
knows you well. Roman Yossi.
So that would be my number 1.
Okay, yeah. Benny said he'd be on my breakfast crew as well.
So you could stare at him, listen to him speak in that Swiss accent.
Oh, the Swiss. Does he bring you watches and chocolates as well?
Sure.
Maybe
I hope
clogs?
so. And I hope he's not wearing any clothes because that'd be awesome too.
It's a naked breakfast. If you're going to Jamie's breakfast, you must be naked. That is the stipulation for me. I mean, I don't know clothes, I guess, are also optional. If we're in Florida, I'm not going outside in Wisconsin right now. I'd freeze.
Yeah.
So I've got Conor McGregor coming to breakfast with me. You've got Roman Yossi. My next pick, I don't know. I guess I think that a guy just like. But now I got to start thinking about the egos clashing at the table. Now this is my concern because Conor McGregor.
You're gonna have a lot of drama.
Conor McGregor's gonna want to talk the entire time, but I feel like a guy to put him in place is J.J. Watt.
Okay.
So J.J. Watt's gonna be at breakfast with me as well too. I mean, J.J.'s gonna have some nice stories, but he's gonna also J.J. He may not like what you're saying, but he'll listen to you. And if he actually does want you to stop talking, he'll probably just like face palm McGregor and throw him. So
if McGregor shows up on time.
So we'll have the 3 of us will have a nice breakfast, and then Conor will stumble in late, probably still hungover from the night before. He'll probably eat his thing, swear a little bit, and then be on his way. Be like, "Thanks for coming, Conor. Good to see you."
He'll probably throw a water bottle or
Snapchat. So J.J. Watt, Conor McGregor coming for sure.
So I got Smoke Show Roman Yossi and Smoke Show Luke Rockhold.
Oh, Luke Rockhold.
I love him.
All right. Craig says Brett Favre. He wants. Jeff says Jamie. Where's Jordy at?
I know. I'm trying to, spread my love.
Spread the love a little bit.
Spread my love, Jeff.
Benny says definitely not Kevin Fiala. I don't even know.
He plays for the Predators.
I say all these hockey people. I'm just like, who? I don't know. See, this is now where I get the issues because I don't have a female yet. But I'm like, do I want to bring like a bro female, like a kind of a thing, or do I want to bring like a girly girl, or do I just want to say no girls allowed? This is just me and my guys hitting up the breakfast brunch crew. This is the strange thing because you haven't brought another girl as well, but I totally understand why you don't because you're like all these hot men, get the hell out of here, other woman. Yeah. This is my table with all these hot guys.
Right. Everybody look at me. Just kidding.
But for real though.
But yeah, seriously.
So for me though, the last person that I want to bring with is kind of a toss up because I've got Conor McGregor, I've got J.J. Watt. I mean, I got to throw one out for the kickers. I got to bring Mason Crosby with me.
Okay.
So I got to bring a family man because Mason Crosby's married, he's got some kids. So I got to have some dad conversation as well a little bit too. So Mason and I can talk about our kids, talk about the wives, while JJ and Conor are talking about their girls and life and all the other crazy things. Kind of an interesting squad, but that's who I've got this morning.
Okay.
Coming to breakfast with me.
My third smoke show of my breakfast table would probably be. I feel like I need someone to live it up, like liven up the breakfast, like someone to take shots at Jameson with. He's also a good segue into a
Oh, I knew you were gonna go here, and it's perfect because Tanner's watching. So say it.
I love Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, Rob Gronkowski, good old Robbie. I think that'd be perfect. Rob Gronkowski, Roman Yossi, and who was your other guy?
Luke Rockhold.
Luke Rockhold. That's who's Jamie's taking to brunch today. And I'm taking J.J. Watt, Conor McGregor, and Mason Crosby with me.
Oh, Tanner, I'm sorry.
Love you, Tanner. Love you. I mean, I don't even know. Like for me, if people are like, "Well, give us your women," like for me, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, probably I would go all soccer girls.
Right.
I would go Alex Morgan, Allie Long, and probably Rose Lavelle because she's funny as hell. Like that's probably the 3 gals that I would bring with me for if I had to go do a females only with just me kind of a thing. They're all very pretty and funny as heck, so that's probably who I'd go with.
Yeah, solid choice.
There you go. More power. And Rhonda would find her way to the party, too.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have
I've got a
fun.
closet crush on Ronda Rousey, even though, I mean, I'm telling the world about Ronda Rousey. So let us know who would the 3 people that you would take to brunch, your sports-themed brunch with you. I've got J.J. Watt, Conor McGregor, and Mason Crosby. You've got all hot smoking guys because, duh. Who are your guys again? Roman Yossi, who I still don't
Luke
know who he is.
Rockhold.
Luke Rockhold.
And Rob.
Is it
Gronkowski.
Rockhold? Like
Yeah.
he's like, his ancestors were holding rocks and they're like, we'll be the Rockholds. Like,
Yes.
and then Rob Gronkowski. I like it. That sounds like a fun breakfast.
Yeah, I think so too.
And you will, and you got a couple of, I mean, how tall are these guys? That's the big question. Are we going on second dates with any of the guys? Because
I believe they're all over 6
Rob
foot.
is 6'7" or something like that.
I think Roman Yossi's like about 6 foot, I think.
Okay.
And Luke Rockhold is 6'1".
Oh, okay.
I believe.
So yeah, you got 3 valuable
Yeah.
options now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone to make Goliath babies with.
Make a life. Jamie's like, screw brunch. I'm going right to the babies. Okay, you do you, Jamie. Yeah, kind of an interesting thing there, but like we said though, love to hear from you guys who you think would take to your sports themed brunch. Like I said, a couple of people here. Josh, says John Daly for the win. Craig says Brett Favre. No love for Jordy Nelson apparently. Benny got you that Roman Josie, and then Hannah said Eddie Lacy would not come because he would eat too much, so he got uninvited to her brunch. I wonder who Hannah would bring with her though. Because it's great to tell people who are uninvited, but I want to know
Right.
who's actually coming to your party.
See, and I'm not bringing Jordy because we're already like a thing.
But does he know that, though? If you're already
Yeah.
talking about making babies with 3 other guys, I think Jordy's going to get a little upset at you.
No, he'll
Jordy's
be okay.
Jordy's a respectable family
we
man.
have an open relationship.
I don't know if that's how it works in Kansas. Maybe it does, actually, because you're from Kansas.
Right.
So
That I'm not
Jordy's
sure.
busy pushing logs and shearing sheep in the field for 10 hours a day, so you're off with partying with Gronk and Roman, but then you're making dinner by 6 p.m. when Jordy comes back
Yeah.
from the fields.
I'm like a all-around girl.
That's a word for it.
I don't know.
That's a good word for it.
All right, moving on to my date, Rob Gronkowski.
Rob. What a man's man.
People are starting to see his partying tactics as a double standard. I mentioned it a couple weeks ago.
You did.
When it came to Johnny Football. Why can he not party, but Gronk can? He says because Gronk's successful. Gronk's good on the field. But he's also been now getting injured a little bit more, and is that because his body is wasting too much energy, chugging Bud Lights and ripping shots of tequila off women's chests, or is it just because he doesn't drink enough milk? Who knows?
Almond milk's the way to go.
I think it's probably time to like relax. You know what I mean?
You think
like
Rob needs to relax?
Like we see him. And well, granted, he was injured most of this last season, but
Sure.
like even during their Super Bowl parade and stuff, it's just him chugging Bud Lights on the top.
You
of
just
a
won the
moving
Super
bus.
Bowl. I mean, that's what you want. And isn't that the most Boston thing ever, though, to be like, yeah, Boston, we're drinking beer kind of thing?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
woo!
it is, and but that's like the first thing we've heard about him in like a long time, and I think he's getting older, and maybe it's time to he's only like in his late 20s.
He's not tied down to anybody.
Yeah.
He's living life. He was just at WrestleMania, taking people out. He
Right,
stole
and then
Tom
at
Brady's
opening day-
jersey at Fenway Park. I mean, he's living life.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, he will probably calm down at some point. But I mean, he's entertaining. He's not hurting anybody. He's not, doing drugs. He's not, getting arrested for
But would it be
drinking
different
in public.
if Cam Newton or Jordy Nelson was?
It's
doing
different
this?
if Cam or Jordy made the switch now. Yes,
You
that would
think-
be terrible.
you
But
think
the
if they
fact that
would've came in-
Rob has consistently been like this since day one, so that's why it's acceptable.
Do you think it's more acceptable because it's the position he plays? He's not, like typically when you think of football, you think of a quarterback, right? So that's
Right.
why I like Aaron Rodgers and whoever else. I'm not thinking off the top of my head. Tom Brady, whatever.
Is there really anybody
but-
else in the NBA,
yeah.
in the NFL?
But do you think it's because he's not a quarterback that it makes it okay? Because there's a lot that rides on a quarterback.
You're right. Yeah, the tight end position is very much a ebb and flow sort of a position. Honestly, I mean, you got guys that nobody knows. Like if I told you to name 5 tight ends in the league, most people couldn't do it just because it's kind of been a forgotten position. But Rob has kind of kept it on the map for the most part. But you're right. There's not as much pressure. Like
Right.
if Rob Gronkowski has a bad game, he wasn't the one throwing the ball or running the ball. He is making some blocks here and there because that's what tight ends do. But then he caught a couple of passes and scored a touchdown. Like he's not an integral part of the game. Kind of like if offensive linemen, well, they are big, but are not integral. Like, Joe Thomas of the Browns isn't trying to throw for 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. He just needs to make sure he hits his block in time and doesn't let his quarterback get sacked. Like
Right.
The pressure is different based off the position. But yes, if this is Aaron Rodgers, if this is anybody else that's a quarterback that is doing all of these things consistently since day one, like if Johnny Manziel had been successful but still partying, I would think that he would still be under a lot of scrutiny. Doesn't matter if he had won a Super Bowl or if he had been doing any of this other stuff.
And then if he had one bad game, they would just automatically think that it's because he went out the night before, like whatever. And the
like,
same thing with like
silly Johnny. Yeah.
OBJ, like they got all scrutinized for like going on the boat.
Yeah.
That's why they lost and whatever. So
it's all about the image that you start building. If you come out from day one kind of being this like floppy, crazy, whatever kind of person, but like never going fully over the edge, like, people immediately are going to look at that guy and be like, he doesn't take the game seriously. But the fact that he's been crazy and also performing at a high level on the field, that's why you kind of have merged the two together, being like, okay, like he's totally
it's more
fine.
acceptable that way.
But do you think that he is indeed having this double standard, or do you think that he is the exception to the rule for doing stuff like this?
Kind of, yeah. I think he looks like a big, dumb, goofy guy.
He
and
does.
that's why everyone's okay with him doing big, dumb, goofy things.
That's the weird thing, yeah.
So, but I also believe that him being successful at his position helps his case.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Which is the big issue I think a lot of folks have with this is like, that's not fair. How can he shotgun a beer in public, or how can he go to WrestleMania or whatever else? But
Right.
Gronk is a entertainer.
He
That's
also
really
doesn't
what it comes down to.
Pretend to be this like hoity-toity,
Exactly.
perfect guy. So
He's not the guy that is, talking about how he wants to have a long, stable relationship one day and then is out, talking to, guys on pit row at a NASCAR event saying that he's going to take the Monster Girls back to his hotel for things that can't be mentioned on the air. It's like, you can't be one or the other. He's just a bro's bro who happens to be incredibly successful at football.
Right.
But at the same time, he does nice things. He's never spent a single dollar of his contract money since he's been in the NFL. He's lived entirely off of his endorsement deals. So
well, that's interesting.
he's been playing for, I think, 5 or 6 years now, I think, maybe a little bit longer. I forget how long he's been in the league. But, yeah, he's never spent a single dollar of any of his contract that he's made, which has been a lot of money. He just lives off of his endorsement deals.
Interesting.
Kind of a cool little thing. I mean, he does little things like that make people kind of go, okay, so he's not totally he's not an idiot, or he's not blowing his money left and right. I mean, he's probably putting it away at some point, or saving it, or giving back to his family as well, too, because he's a nice guy when you really get down to just Gronk as a whole.
Yeah.
He's just a funny guy. Is he the guy you're taking home to mom and dad to be like, hey, this is Rob? And he's like, what's up, Mr. Whoever? And like shotgunning a beer and like going crazy.
Kenny
like,
would probably like that, though.
Kenny would be all over that. Be like, yeah, Jamie Gronkowski, I can get on board with that. Like, that's fine. Like, Kenny and Gronk would be out like slamming beers in the garage, and you'd be like, time to go home, Rob.
Dad, go to bed.
Yeah, I can see your dad probably be like, one more, come on. Can Rob stay longer, please? I could totally see that. I don't know. He does get special treatment, though.
He does.
Does it help the fact that he plays for the most successful franchise in NFL history?
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It really makes a difference, honestly. I mean, if Rob Gronkowski was doing what he was doing, playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, this would be a whole other conversation. Totally different. But the Patriots and everything that goes into them as an organization, which many of you know, certainly helps continue to fuel the fire of why some people love and or hate Rob Gronkowski. Makes total sense.
I agree. Speaking of special treatment, I think I'm so sick, as we all know, of talking about LeVar Ball.
It's been like 2 days on Brew Sports, or 3 days that we have yet to mention LeVar Ball.
I
So this is
know.
a network record. We should celebrate.
We should chuck in some Bud Lights.
We can have beer. We can get some.
So LeVar Ball is planning on being Lonzo Ball's agent.
Yes.
However, I was always under the impression that in order to be an agent, you had to go to law school, right?
Correct, I think so.
Okay, so they're talking about him hiring a lawyer to take care of the law side of it, and then he will be able to still be Lonzo's agent. I didn't know that was a thing.
I honestly don't know how the whole behind-the-scenes thing work, but continue.
I, too, believe he's going to be the worst agent in the entire world. We all know that he loves his kid. But
it's kind of creepy how much he loves his kid.
But there's no, I don't feel like he has any room for wiggle. He wants a $1 billion shoe contract, and he's not going to take anything less than that. He wants Lonzo to play for Cleveland. He's not going to let Lonzo play for
Boston.
The Jazz. Yeah, I just don't know if that's who I would want. But then again, how do you tell your dad, no, Dad?
You man up at some point.
Yeah. Well,
I love my dad, and I'm very thankful that he's never done anything like this. My dad is very much a big advocate for me and my broadcasting and anything else that I do, which is great. But my dad's also not, flying up to Hartford, Connecticut, or wherever the heck ESPN's located, Bristol. He's not pounding on their door saying, "You guys need to sign my son. He's the best broadcaster ever."
Right.
My dad is vocal about, when he's proud of me, or my dad is vocal about supporting what we do here at Brew Sports, but he's not in your face about it. He's not, handing out flyers on the streets of, the city that he works in, with my face on them saying Baxter, look at Baxter. That would be that I would tell my dad, listen, I'm so thankful for your support,
yeah.
But you need to shut up. You need to stop.
I think too, what we've seen from LeVar is it doesn't look like Lonzo's interests are what his interests are. He's all worried
Lonzo
about.
looks like he just doesn't care.
Yeah, LeVar's worried about the money and the paychecks and big baller brands or whatever their company's name is.
BBB there.
I don't think that he's doing it for the good of his kid rather than the good for himself.
Well, this is what Jeff says on Facebook, too. He says if he loved his kids, he'd let the professionals who know what they're doing take care of things. And I agree with that. But, anytime you try to decide whether or not somebody loves their kids or not, that's where it gets dicey, and then you're trying to play a whole nother game in that sense. But how do we get over this? What is it going to take? Is it going to take Lonzo coming out? And maybe Lonzo has tried to come out in private to his dad, be listen, I don't want you to do this. But LeVar basically is saying, no, I'm going to do it. You're nothing without me. And I'm sure they may have had a talk or whatever. But at the same time, Lonzo seems like the most respectable, well-mannered kid you've ever met in your life. Yeah, he's got some talent. Yeah, he's going to do fairly well in the NBA. But if your dad keeps meddling in your life, this is why I really want this is why I want Lonzo not to get drafted by the Lakers. Because then Lonzo will be stuck in L.A. with his father.
Right.
He needs to go to a Boston, or he needs to go to Orlando, or anybody else. Milwaukee, I don't care. That would certainly put Milwaukee on the map for sure if Lonzo came here. But you need to get him out of L.A. You need to get him out of his father's shell. This is a bad movie where, this kid is trying to escape their abusive parents or whatever. Not that LeVar is abusive, but you see this kid, trying to struggle to get away, or you're trying to get away from that bad relationship. It's I'm going to just move. And then you finally move, and then it's, for the most part, over. That's what Lonzo needs. He needs to get out of L.A. now.
Yeah, I think in order for us to start respecting the Ball family, because LeVar's made it so hard to like them, because he's just so too much, is he's going to really have to prove himself. One, to be a decent manager, and two, to prove that he's not going after it just for the money, that he really is looking out for his kid's best interest and being respectful and I don't know what other word I'm looking for, but nice about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That it's not just because he wants $1 billion, and that it's he actually cares about where Lonzo wants to play and who actually wants him and who's going to treat him well,
right,
and where he can be successful. So.
I've been very blessed with supportive parents, but my mom was the gal at the soccer games, running up and down the sidelines, cheering me on. She'd bring handmade signs with my name on them or my weird nicknames, just to be weird and funny and cute all at the same time. I get the support of parents. Please go support your kids' parents. If you don't, you're doing something wrong. You need to show your kids that support. They crave that support, so you can't deprive your children of that, but know when to stop. Know when to let them be their own person as well, too. That's where the big issue, I think, is here. Tanner makes a great point. He said, LeVar Ball is the adult equivalent of the Cash Me Outside girl. And then Josh says, if I could turn into a Todd this could turn into a Todd McMarion, wow, I don't even know how to say it, Marjanovic situation. I don't even know who Todd McMarjanovic is. Another hockey player, I'm assuming? Who are you, Todd? And show yourself. Somebody Google search Todd Marjanovic, or however in the world you say his name. I just don't think that this is ever going to be a possible positive thing.
Right. And I think, too, this is going to be a weird comparison, but it's all I can think of. LeVar Ball doesn't have any experience in this whole, agent.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a lot of experience
Dadager.
trying to play pro anything.
Right. So you take a look at no one on the show probably ever watches the Kardashians, but I used to watch a lot of garbage TV. So their mom like overtook their life and like stepped her boundaries a lot. But like you would see on their not scripted reality TV show that they would put their mom in place sometimes. So maybe like, again, maybe that's all it's going to take is for LeVar or Lonzo to be like, Dad, shut the frick up. And let me be me. Let me live my career.
Who would you rather have as a parent, Kris Jenner or LeVar Ball?
Oh, Kris Jenner for sure. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Because she seems meddly, though, and she seems like she would almost want the drama.
I'll take drama over like she stays in the backs. You know, like she's not. LeVar's making himself like be the one and that's talked about more than his kids at this moment.
Well, yeah, of course.
Kris makes sure like her kids are like, yeah, Kylie, yeah, Kendall, do this stupid Pepsi commercial that's going to get everybody talking about it and get banned, and now you're going to look like an idiot, but you just made $100,000 off it, so who cares? I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I have $100,000, you don't. So I'm taking Kris Jenner.
Wow. I'm going to take a pass. I'm going to take orphanism. I would rather not have either.
That wasn't an option.
I don't know. I don't know who I would care for. I wouldn't have to work a day in my life if I had Kris Jenner, that's for sure, just because she just is like, well, my girls have already become famous because they have big butts and are sluts on social media. So
big butts and sluts.
Big butts and sluts. That's the Kardashian. If you've never seen anything with the Kardashians, I've just summed up everything for you.
Pretty much.
You're welcome.
Pretty much.
And money.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing more to say about this. Nothing more.
About LeVar?
About LeVar Ball.
We can move on.
We should. Throwback Thursday or Yes Drama or both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
So which one do you want to do first?
Yes Drama.
Yes Drama. I love Yes Drama. What's
I'll go
the
first.
drama? Please.
This isn't very dramatic, but I think it's very cool. As we all know, Masters is here. I'd say around the corner, but it's here.
Right. It's here.
So I
Masters.
read up on Augusta National is how unique it is, right? So they profit, I think I read, $30 million by the time they're done with this tournament, which is a crazy amount of money. But it's not as much money as they could be making.
Okay.
However, they've been turning down a lot of big deals from different corporations because they want to keep the experience so fun. So like food and drink and all of that is super cheap once you get in there. And they're allowed to do that because they're trying to make it intimate, right? So it's okay. So let's say Mercedes-Benz pays $6 million to $8 million for 4 minutes of advertisement per hour,
wow,
which is a crazy amount of money, obviously.
Yeah, it is.
However, they could go into more of like a bidding system, I believe I read, where people would end up paying way more because everyone would be battling for these spots. So they keep it. So it's as if they could get $100 for the weekend and get $2 to $3 million buys. So do the math on that. They're just leaving to CBS. So CBS is able to broadcast it, but they get to run everything else that's done on the inside.
Ooh, okay.
To make the fan experience that much better.
Which is ultimately what Augusta is. I mean, the people talk about how cheap the food is down in Augusta, but like there's no cell phones. Like it is very much a gentleman's game at Augusta. Like everyone is dressed nicely. You're respectful of everything going on. But yeah, I do agree with you. Why are they leaving so much money on the table?
Literally, the article just says that making sure that the fans have this, it's something that they look up to for their entire lives, right?
People
that love
fan
golf.
Experience.
Right. So they could.
Not what I think of when I hear of an ultimate fan experience.
Yeah, so they, could make it bigger and brighter and better, but they want to keep it this intimate gentleman's game, as you called it.
A gentleman's game.
So I think it's cool. Did you know you could buy a pimento cheese sandwich for $1.50?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow. Well, love it.
So
my yes drama has to do with the NHL versus the NBA and their resting policies. So people have been losing their minds the last couple of weeks because the NBA has been resting some of their big stars on nationally televised games. While on the flip side, the NHL continues to have guys play with basically torn ACLs consistently and not rest. So the NBA needs to stop being a bunch of girls and take a note out of the NHL playbook because they play virtually the same amount of games, and NHL is an even more physically grueling sport. So my drama is that the girls of the NBA need to wake up, take their panties off, and play like real men because I am sick and tired of the stupid drama of LeBron James wanting to rest because It doesn't make any sense, and you're hurting your brand, while the guys in the NHL are wrecking people left and right and basically playing with, half a brain, half a face, and no feet, and still putting on a hell of a show because go hockey.
I think it's easier to rest somebody in the NBA. You can't
much easier.
You can't just pull someone out of their line and be like, man.
Right, exactly.
Harry, get in there.
But that's the thing, though. These guys are resting for 5 and 6 and 7 games at times because, they've got a sore foot or whatever. Like, you've heard stories of guys in the playoffs, and I know the playoffs are different, like in the NHL, with torn ACLs, broken bones that affect you as a person, as a being, still playing and still being effective because they care about the game.
Right.
They play 80-some games, don't they, in hockey? 82 or something like that? The NBA plays 82 games as well. Why are we resting more? If people were hitting each other as hard as they were in the NHL, in the NBA, you'd have guys all over the place being like, oh, my gosh. LeBron James.
LeBron would flop a heck of a lot more.
Right, and that's what really bothers me in this is that people are still saying, oh, the NBA is such a tough sport. No, it's not. Guys are getting, blown in the ear and freaking out because they feel like they just got stabbed in the face. Like, get over yourselves, NBA. Take a page out of the NHL playbook and man up.
Leave it at that because I like where that went. Yeah, Baxter. Sports.
There's no mic to drop. There. I don't know. That didn't work. I need a prop mic to drop at times. We just need a golden mic to drop. All right. Well, that's about it. That's all I got for you. Get on my level. Let us know your thoughts. Hit that comment section below. Anything we talked about on the Yes Drama business today. Do you agree with Jaymee with the Ultimate Fan Experience there down at Augusta and all the crazy stuff that you brought up about that? Do you agree with the NBA and the NHL resting debate? Do you think the NBA needs to just stop being a bunch of women and get back up? And that's nothing against the women because I respect women, but these guys are big, tough, look at me, I'm a man. No, you're acting like a kindergartner. You need to stop acting like a child. Stop acting like a child and take a hit. Stop resting because your pinky hurts. Get over yourself.
Yeah, and they're just jogging.
Right. They're not skating. They're not checking people into the boards. Come on. Jeepers. Some people's kids, I tell you. Anything else for us, Jaymee?
I agree with you on it, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Good. Appreciate it. Anything else? What else do we got to talk about? I'm all fired up now. I'm just going to throw my coffee cup and move along.
Are we throwing it back? See
we
what
should throw.
Embarrassing quote I have? Hold on, my phone's over here, though.
Oh, my gosh. I thought that was Flashback Friday we look at our quotes.
Oh, I thought that was today.
I thought Throwback Thursday is when we look at this day in sports history.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oops, sorry.
It's like she doesn't even care anymore.
It's not true.
You can tell we actually prepped for this segment today.
Yeah, we did.
On this day, in 46 BC, Julius Caesar defeats Metilius Cicero and Porcius Cato in the Battle of Thapsus. There you go. The more you know.
The more you know. The third Masters in golf history.
What about it?
Horton Smith wins shooting a .285. Which
okay.
I feel like isn't very good compared to today's day, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know much about golf, but I feel like that's a high number.
Third Masters? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but not a lot of people have won the Masters consistently, so that would be a big deal. Winning the Masters.
He didn't win it 3 times.
Oh.
It was the third one.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, on this day in sports history back in 2015, sorry Badger fans, the Duke Blue Devils beat Wisconsin 68-63 to claim the NCAA championship. Fun fact. Sorry about that one. Anything else? Florida Marlins recorded their first ever team loss back in 1993 on this day, 4-2 to the LA Dodgers.
In 1896, the first modern Olympic Games opened in Greece.
Wow. Back in 1986, a soccer ball was juggled nonstop for 14 hours and 14 minutes.
Huh.
Look at that.
Interesting.
Way to go.
In 1877, there was the 17th British Golf Open.
Oh.
Okay, see, this is why Jamie Anderson shoots a 160, and this guy won the Masters shooting a 285.
Probably collective through all 4 rounds.
Oh.
Because you play 4 rounds.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
Totally, I don't know much about golf.
The more you know. Back in 1958, the 22nd Masters Golf Tournament, Arnie Palmy won, shooting a 284. Yep. And then, of course, a man after your own heart, Gordie Howard. You know who Gordie Howard is, the NHL great?
Yep.
Completes his 26th record season.
Nice.
Back in 1980.
There was a Stanley Cup, too. The Monty Maroons beat the Victoria
Monty
Cougars.
Maroons. Wow. Cougars, eh? Sounds like a team you'd be a part of.
I'm not old.
You're going to be that cougar one day, I feel like, Jaymee.
Boy.
You're going to be like that, mid to late 30s going after those hot, right out of college boys.
I don't think your 30s makes you a cougar either.
What classifies you as a cougar? Mid to late 40s?
Old. 30s is not old.
How about 40s?
Yeah.
If you're 44 years old.
Yeah, you're probably a cougar.
And you're going after like a 24-year-old.
Yeah. You're a
like
cougar.
you could be his mom.
Yeah. That's what makes you a cougar.
I suppose.
40s.
So once you can start being somebody's mom, then you can be a cougar.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So if you started pursuing my son right now, then you'd be calling a cougar because he's only 4 months old. If you're into that sort of thing, we might have to have a conversation off the air, but we'll have to see, I guess. But yes, that is on this day in sports history. That is Throwback Thursday here on Brew Sports. A lot of great stuff that we got to today. Special thanks to Caleb Wahlgren for joining us as well. Jaymee, it's always a pleasure. It's always an honor. It's always just a unique fan experience every time I get to co-host a show with you.
At least I got 8 hours of sleep today.
That's why the show was a good one, because Jaymee was prepared and ready to go. The key to success at Brew Sports: sleep.
Don't go to opening day.
Also, don't go to opening day. Hashtag poor decisions.
Great decision.
Yeah, that's why the Brewers lost. I'm pretty sure it's you.
Probably.
They got rocked last year.
They did.
And you were there, so
yeah.
I blame Jaymee. Anybody that's a Brewers fan, you're like, why do the Brewers suck? That's why. Jaymee Evers, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Jaymee, always a pleasure. All of you, always a pleasure as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the shares. You can keep hitting that share button once we get off the air, too, if you're watching this back at a later date. Remember to find us on our website, brewsportsnet.com. Find us on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, all that fun business. Jamie's staring at me because I'm talking too long. You can find her on social media at Jaymee_Evers. You can find me at Baxter Colburn. At Brew Sportsnet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hashtag Brew Sports. Get excited. All right. She's Jaymee. I'm Baxter. Thanks for watching. LeVar Ball and Kris Jenner. Who would you rather have as a parent? The answer is neither. It's always neither. Happy Thursday, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Morning Brew.